How am I supposed to do this if I haven't been drinking?
Well, that's easy to do. You don't need to drink to talk about anime.
What?
You drink to read comics.
I drink to forget. No. I drink to remember.
You drink to watch bad movies like The Dark Knight.
Whoa. Whoa. Now is not the time to insult The Dark Knight. It's a great movie.
That's a horrible movie.
Now, it's not as good as, per se, like Big Trouble in Little China or Cocktail, which are two of the best movies of all time. Alright, this is the podcast where we talk about anime. Welcome back, guys. It's been a good week.
Yep, welcome.
As always, I'm your host, David.
I'm Steven.
With me is Steven, who's just introduced himself. Thank you all for taking the time to come back. Thank you for checking us out. Continue to check out anything else on the BitBlast Network. Retconned, Pot of Nice and Ire, Fat, Clues Aggression.
They just started a new Game of Thrones one, if I remember right.
That's Pot of Nice and Ire. We'll be back this week, I think. Or last week. We were back last week and then back in a couple weeks for Season 2. Feel free to check anything else out. Follow us on the Twitters, on the Facebooks. You can send us an email at podcasts@bitblastnetwork.com for comments, hate mail, whatever. So, what have you been up to? What have you been up to for the past week, man? You've been hibernating?
I do pretty much the same thing I do every week.
You can't talk about that on air. That's a felony.
Going to work, sleeping, and watching anime. That's pretty much my life.
Well, that's why we record this one with you. So what's up, man? Anything exciting going on?
Well, let's see. We've got two big things going on with America and Japan going. We've got Ruby being the first anime to be exported to Japan.
I mean, okay, sure. I still think the qualifier is to be technically called an anime, and I'm aware you're going to say the internet is saying it's the anime exported to Japan, because it's definitely anime styled. I would say it's not technically an anime unless it's made in Japan. But I'm excited that Japan's getting a release on it. That's really cool for the Rooster Teeth guys who produced it.
Yeah, I mean, technically anime is just a shortened version of Japanese animation.
Yeah, exactly. So...
But it's more of because of the style and the story aspect of it makes it an anime.
I mean, there's American cartoons with ongoing storylines now. I think the differential is becoming rather a moot point. But it's really exciting. It's cool that we're getting a little bit more of that cross-contamination. I guess they kind of did that with Witchblade a couple years ago.
Well, with Witchblade, that was more of taking a comic book and adapting it. And having the Japanese studio actually make it. This is a web series from a...
Well, yeah, no. I'm not...
Being fully produced and sent over for a Japanese dub.
I mean, it's cool. It's exciting that things beyond like our movies, and I think the Mortal Kombat web series got a Japanese dub too for some reason. I've heard that's good. I haven't watched it. I'm not super attached to Mortal Kombat.
Lineage, yeah, that was actually really good.
I mean, if they did like a Street Fighter 3 web series, I'd probably watch that.
After the last Street Fighter movie, I really doubt we'll ever see anything Street Fighter again. You
mean the one in 1998? That one?
Oh, that's right. They did one in...
Yeah, the only Street Fighter movie.
Chun-Li one not too long ago. Well, actually, we're probably passing that 10-year mark on that.
Nah, like 5 years. The Chun-Li one was awful.
That was
the one with Raul Julia as Bison is amazing because... To you, that was the most important day of your life. To Bison, it was Tuesday. Is the greatest villain speech, followed up by the best speech by Jean-Claude Van Damme as Guile later in the movie. Where, like, none of his soldiers could understand him, but he's just, like, the most, French-American man ever. We're gonna lose the war today. But we can all go home. I'm not going home. I'm going to go to Shadaloo and kick in Bison's ass. And like one soldier's like, yeah.
The others are going, what did he say?
And it's just like, what the fuck? I mean, we got a little bit off track there, but it's like clearly, hopefully the Japanese adapt Ruby better than we adapted Street Fighter.
Oh, that's true. I mean, it looks, all they're doing with it is just dubbing it.
Yeah, so I mean, they have the translation
But
scripts.
amazingly enough, it's like Rooster Teeth being the company that brought us Red vs. Blue, but they're really, when you think about it, they're just a web. I mean,
not
they've gotten a
anymore.
lot bigger with Achievement Hunter, and they even have their own convention, RTX. But
They're on like penny arcade level of being important to the internet community, man. Like I know it's like we were around when Red vs. Blue was 5-minute web shorts.
yes,
I'm aware. I still quote them sometimes, and people think I'm crazy. No, it's really exciting that we live in basically like the dawn of internet company age.
yeah. It was like I was looking at the casting for who they actually got, and it's like for Ruby they got Sayori Hayami. She does like Miyuki from Irregular Magic Academy. Then you got like Weishney. It's being voiced by Yoko Hikasa. She's in Danamachi doing Freya.
These are all after 2004. I don't.
Well, one you might know, Yang, which is voiced by Barbara for Rooster Teeth,
Okay.
because Barbara is hot and I am going to mention her. But
Sup, Barbara? Let me know, girl.
she's also in the Japanese version being voiced by Amy Kashimizu,
Okay.
who does the voice of Ryoko in Kill La Kill.
I mean, okay, I know who that is. It would have been better being a different Ganex cast. What's Megumi Ota up to nowadays? You got Ray up in this B. That one was for you, Stone.
Actually, Megumi is in this. She's doing the voice for Pyrrha.
Never mind, I'm about to pass you the shot.
Which is actually funny. That
Actually,
she's
wait.
actually doing a secondary
Excuse me,
character
that's
like
actually
that.
the voice actress for Shinji. Megumi Hashibara is the voice for Ray. My bad, Evangelion fans. I failed you. I'll go fall on my lance. Anyway.
Well, anyway, definitely I would check that out.
I mean, but you've seen it, so you're just going to watch it in a language you don't understand?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, that's fair. I probably would, too.
Just to see, because you get that whole... With a lot of the anime we watch today, we're watching from the Japanese version, and then we buy it on Blu-ray and everything when it comes over here. So it's like when I'm watching Fairy Tail, it's like I'm so used to their voices in Japanese that when I watch it in English, it's like my ears are bleeding. I'm like, something's wrong here. It just doesn't sound right.
So you think the American-made, always meant to be in English show is going to be better in Japanese, is what you're saying?
Really not
does that,
sure.
Does that hurt the Rooster Teeth feelings a little bit, Rooster Teeth fans?
No, I mean, after watching it, we'll see how the difference is. Like, I was talking to one of my voice actor friends, and I remember him critiquing everything in the show when we were watching it, of like, oh, they messed up here. Oh, they're not putting feeling into it. And it'll be really interesting to see what he has to say on something like this.
They weren't professional voice actors, so I'll give them that. They're giving it over to people who are professionals.
Yes.
And no, it's exciting. It's always cool to see. It's weird how representational we get as a country. And I don't know if that's a uniquely like U.S. attribute, but if like something's done in country, we're always like, fuck yeah, America. Like, we got to represent, which brings me to possibly my favorite thing ever. Couple weeks back, about a month back, most of you all have probably seen this or need to go look this up, that there was this American company that made a giant robot called like Mechico or Big Robo. And they sent out this challenge that their Big Robo, Big Mech Mark II, wanted to fight the Subarashi Heavy Industries Kurotas. and then kind of just out there as a joke. And the Japanese company accepted for a year from now to have a fucking battle royale. And they're like, but we gotta have melee combat.
Melee.
It's gonna be more than just shooting guns at each other.
It was like, after watching that video, I was super excited because the inner geek in me is going, oh, giant robots, finally, we're in that time. But then I'm like, oh man, the American one just looks like a forklift or something. It's going to get wrecked by the Japanese
I know.
one.
As is. I really like the design. So you guys can go help represent the country, and I've spent $50 on this dang thing. There's a Kickstarter, which we're going to have linked. We have no links to this, other than it's fucking awesome. Of where you can help support the U.S. mech team.
Yep.
Get all the necessary upgrades so we can kick Japan's ass.
Yeah, this was something we talked about in my office, about how to really get the Americans winning, we need to get all the smartest minds we can on this. And that is exactly what these guys have done. They've gotten they even got this guy from NASA on this.
Now, it does sound rather silly. It's this okay, we're putting all this money to watch two robots fight each other, but it really does, I feel, push forward the field of robotics. We're doing all of this to put a very public eye on something that's not often thought about.
Yeah,
that can be then later used in industry and various things in the actual world. And more importantly, watching two giant robots fight each other.
That is the major thing.
The most important distinction here is robots don't have pilots. Both of these have pilots inside their mech suits.
Yep.
Which if you've ever gone to our panel at MetroCon every year, my mech is better than your mech, is an important distinction in the robot mech argument of what constitutes a mech. So we just want to kind of in honor of the U.S. team getting ready to kick Japan's ass next year, explore some of just the genre of mech shows. Do you have a favorite mech show?
Oh, man. There's so many.
There's so many, but off the top of your head, if you were just going to be like...
If I had to give my seal of approval of the pinnacle of what a mech show should be, I'm giving it to 8th MS Team.
Right. That'd be Mobile Suit Gundam 8th MS Team, for those of you not in the know. Go find the shit. This is something that both of us,
it's a little older animation. It's kind of mid-90s.
Mid-90s hand-drawn goodness. This was pre-computer animation for the most part.
It really sticks to the military aspect of the troops being on the front lines of battle. And if you've ever watched Gundam before, you know that they tend to always go off into the wonders of just ridiculous Gundams, and yet 8th MS Team doesn't do that. They're like, no, we have the basic mobile suits. These guys are dying left and right. You're feeling a more attachment to them because it's really just true soldiers on the front lines. To
put it on in comparison to American media, I would say a normal Gundam series is like a Quentin Tarantino war movie. Beyond Inglourious Basterds, just hyper violent, things are crazy. Things that used to be practical robots can now all of a sudden teleport and phase into different phases of matter, do all this weird shit. This is like the Band of Brothers of robot mech shows, where it's just really following.
That is the perfect description.
It's following this a group of soldiers through their war, and of course there's the basic anime tropes of somebody's got to fall in love, all of that. But there's a seal of just absolute perfection for a Gundam series. But I think it's really interesting that normally mech shows all get kind of grouped together of there's robot shows, but I can't think of a more diverse subgenre of anime, because there's you can have your realistic military mechs, and then you can have high fantasy or super sci-fi, and then there's even silly Knights of Ramun mechs.
Knights of Ramun, oh my god,
which I would not recommend anyone look up, by the way.
My cousin came up with a thing. She told me about how some animes have that certain line just being really ecchi and just being hentai, and that's the borderline hentai line. Knights of Ramun keeps like jump roping with this line.
Of it can technically be sold in normal stores. Barely. Found that at Movie Stop way back when. But then you go jump into like Macross Frontier, which has still the very...
Macross Frontier is like, they're doing kind of the crazy stuff, but it's supposed to. It takes place several years in our future.
Like centuries into the future.
To where we've developed ships to be able to actually transverse the universe.
But I mean, it goes from being that hard sci-fi setting of, intergalactic travel, we're meeting aliens, kind of like starts off almost being the Star Trek of mech shows.
Because the whole objective of Macross was to find new planets that we could actually settle on.
Yeah. But then and I love it, you know me.
Oh, yeah.
It gets almost beyond Macross 7 of just, it turns into a singing and dancing show.
That is Macross' big thing.
Which is still technically a mech show. I just think it's a really diverse genre. And then you can go the other hand and have the like Super Sentai robots. You have your Gitter Robos, your Guyvers, your... Just like things where they're superheroes almost. They get called when they're needed, when the city needs them.
Diamunder.
That's
such a bad one.
What I say? My brain's saying Gravitation, and I know that's wrong. That is not a mech show.
That is not.
It's the one with the extender arm where he punches the moon.
Oh my!
Aquarion.
Oh, yes.
Aquarion is what I'm thinking of. And
that had a sequel not too long ago.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't really a sequel. It was like...
a companion series.
Yeah, something
kinda.
Like that.
But, that's a Sentai show. But they happen to have a robot.
Yeah.
And then there's crazy, like, psychoanalytical shows, like Evangelion. Technically counts as a mech show. I'm aware in the reveal.
Really? This whole section of the mech universe... is really not a section of the mech universe. It's just Gainax making mech shows. And that fills up that entire
whole kind of crazy... This isn't
like
actually...
Here's Gunbusters and Gurren Lagann and Evangelion.
They're not actually about the robots, but they're important to the plot. But really, you're just going to feel sad... Unless you're watching Gurren Lagann, which might possibly be the best hype up thing ever.
God, Gurren Lagann. I remember watching that show each week and then getting to episode 8.
To that episode where if for some reason you haven't seen it, we're not going to ruin it, but the episode
of I wanted to stop watching after that episode.
But it was so good and handled so maturely.
Yes.
And it was upsetting at the time of what they did here. But it's if for some reason you haven't watched Gurren Lagann, it is on Netflix. So go check it out on Netflix. Please, God, I'm not normally a snob on dub. I normally say if you prefer to watch something in English, watch it in English. If you prefer to watch something in Japanese, watch it in Japanese. Watch it however you want. Please do yourself a favor, and if you don't normally watch things in Japanese, watch this show in Japanese.
Yes.
Because there is this one character, Kamina, who is absolutely perfect in Japanese and has a completely different feeling than the American voice actor, who did a good job, but just couldn't match it, in my opinion.
It's really because of... the honorifics of how we talk between each other of, when they say Aniki and stuff, it just doesn't really translate well over to American. So for us,
there's a lot of bro.
There's, hey bro, and it just sounds weird.
I think they should have switched it up between bro and douchebag. And I really felt like that would have gotten the American...
Simone is a douchebag.
That would have gotten the American experience across. Because it's like, oh, this is my best friend. We hang out every day, and I call him a douche. God. No, seriously, mech shows are, I really feel like the lens that filters anime into its condensed pure form, and I think mech show fans are the best fans in the world. But that's just me.
That's only because most of the mech shows happened in the 70s and 80s. So most of mech fans are in that age range of like 25 to like 40 and stuff. So we're a little older, a little more mature, but not really mature.
No, but it's just nowadays you can have these shows that cling to those original like 70s Gundam values. Gundam Seed, I think, is a perfect example of this, because Gundam Seed is, for all intents and purposes, for those of you who have not watched the original Mobile Suit Gundam, the new Mobile Suit Gundam. It's almost the exact same story, has almost the exact same plot twists. They just redid it for modern audiences with some modern sensibilities into it. But Gundam Seed has these moments where they go from their fighting in their Gundams, fighting in their mechs, and then all of a sudden they have like astral projections of them being naked in space screaming at each other, which makes no sense. But like, you're really into the show, so you're not really noticing, and it's just like, yeah, it's the emotional impact, and then you think about it later and you just go, wait a second.
And that pretty much changed all of Gundam after that, because after that Gundam series started doing that whole like astro projection naked person floating in space where they're telepathically talking or something, and it's like, what the frick is going on? That
said, have you seen the new trailer for the new Gundam series? Gundam Battle Orphans, or what is it, Steel-Hearted Orphans?
It actually looks like it's going to be almost kind of like 8th MS Team.
Iron-Blooded Orphans. I'm sorry. It's Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. But no, that looks like 8th MS Team. I really like the mech designs. They look very industrial. They actually look like something that could be made. Mm-hmm. And which is a nice change from the... Not that I have disliked the previous Gundam designs. I have a hell of a lot of the models.
God, yes.
But they're just always been... They look beyond human, like, thought almost. It's just like there's so many really angles and spikes
at this point to really make a Gundam stand out, because that's the point that Gundam was digging their own hole, was because all the Gundams started looking the same to where they were just adding on different adjustments to it, but it still looked like a regular Gundam. It was like,
yeah, there's like 16 different versions of the RX-78.
Yeah,
which is cool because it's the perfect Gundam.
No, that would be the Epion.
The
perfect soldier.
With your little ivy whip and your wings, no. Just because it's overpowered in Gundam Battle Assault 2, it does not make it the perfect Gundam. But in any case, the new series looks really good. I really like the industrial designs. The only thing I have a problem with is only half the cast, at least from the initial trailer, looks like Gundam characters. The other ones look like they're from, like, ripped straight out of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, it was like, looking at it, looks like they're incorporating a lot of the character design from Build Fighters. And Build Fighters really had that kind of almost blocky hair to them, to where it looked a little Yu-Gi-Oh-ish.
And it was definitely aimed at the younger audiences.
Yes.
Had the,
so it looks like they're really incorporating that style into them, because Sunrise hasn't really put anything out in a while since that.
Yeah, whatever. Like, Sunrise used to have like seven, felt like 17 shows a year.
I honestly don't know. I mean, I haven't really seen them pump anything out. They might be working on something. I might have to go and actually research.
Actually, I think they're helping out games, aren't they? I don't know. We'll have to check it out. We'll get back to you on the State of Sunrise next week.
State of Sunrise.
Because the last non-Gundam show I can think of them doing was My Otome. And that had to have been like, what, 2005?
Yeah, something like that. That was a long time ago.
Which, don't get down on yourself there. So if you couldn't tell, we clearly have strong feelings about Mechs.
Just a little bit.
I think I've said it before. I'll probably say it again. I have an Evangelion tattoo. It's just clearly I love Gainax and I love mech shows.
You're very hard for Gainax.
Well, who wouldn't be?
Everyone but you.
Well, you know that's not true. But I mean, they were. I would like to say. I'd like to think from about 1998, with the exception of Cowboy Bebop, to about 2003, putting all the best shows out.
Well, really, I have to give you this, and it hurts. It really hurts, but I have to give you this because anime was dying.
And Evangelion
brought anime back into the limelight. If it wasn't for Eva,
Praise
we
Anno.
might not have anime the way we do today.
Now, I do think it's just super interesting that a large bit of just the story or behind Evangelion was kind of against the gross commercialization of characters, and I can't think of a more over-merchandised show than Eva.
That's what was so funny about Ava, is because it was against the commercialization and stuff, and yet by the time Ava ended to their new movie, they kept releasing more and more. There are probably like hundreds and hundreds different version figures of Rei or Asuka.
Oh, there are. Trust me.
There are probably thousands upon thousands of doujinshis about Rei and Asuka.
All kinds of awful things that neither of us have ever looked at.
For those who don't know, doujinshis are
fan-made comics about characters, and they're totally innocent, normal things where they just go on adventures and stuff. And that is, if you don't know what we're talking about, where you want that to end. If you do know what we're talking about, shame on you. Shame on you and shame on your whole family, because you know what you've done.
No, it's like, that's just what comes over here because Americans are little perverts.
Don't try and put the Japanese up on a pedestal for not being perverts. If there's one thing that Japan is famous for, it is their level of perversion that is just okay. Don't try and pretend that there is a vast level of completely, like, pros in the doujinshi world of people are writing modern day classics using other people's characters. No, they use them to make money, and there's one thing that makes more money than anything else.
Yeah, there was actually, talking about doujinshi, I was reading an article about a law that's getting ready to be passed that could actually end their Kami Fest, because it's going to put a restriction on
the use of licensed
characters in Japan, and which would pretty much kill the entire doujinshi community. And what's funny is because the Kami Fest has like 100,000 participants, or I think there's even more than that.
The sheer amount of money that those brings into the cities around it, I think, is the only reason why
it's
that law
like,
would.
Think of San Diego Comic-Con times 10, and you'll be close to Kami Fest.
I don't think that number's accurate. I don't think it would be San Diego Comic-Con times 10, because that's the biggest convention in the world. But at close to that scale.
I have to go look at the numbers on that.
It is. Once Hollywood got involved, it's the biggest convention in the world.
Stupid Hollywood.
Darn you for making good movies.
Wait, Hollywood makes good movies?
Yeah, do you want to watch German independent films all the time? I mean, I do, but I also enjoy being sad and drinking alone. The more you know. Boop, rainbow.
Well,
so for those of you still with us, after me burying my heart out there for a second,
we're going to jump into one of the mainstreams here that David doesn't really listen to or watch, but we're going to talk about it anyways.
Rurouni Kenshin.
And that is Naruto.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow, we just lost all our viewership.
They're just like, fuck Naruto.
No, for those that don't know, the manga ended not too long ago.
Good.
And the series is going. They just had Naruto the Last, which was like takes place 2 years after the end of the manga, and then they just about 2 weeks ago had a new movie called Botoro
about his kid, right?
About Naruto's kid. Which,
I mean, that's kind of cool, kind of seeing the continuation of the legacy for the people that really cared about those characters.
Which I don't see why you would really knock it, since Botoro is Shinji, except he doesn't have an abusive father.
No, Shinji without an abusive father is Simone from Gurren Lagann.
Yeah, he's a really whiny little kid who complains about his daddy not loving him eat more than he already does, that he loves the rest of the village as much as he loves him. And he just whines about that to the point, I don't want to give spoilers from the movie. Just to let you know, Botaro is very whiny. However, Sasuke's daughter is awesome.
Does he get in the fucking robot?
No, he doesn't get it in the effing
Also,
robot.
hold on, this might be a spoiler for people, but I'm just curious. If it really is, I'll bleep it out later. Isn't Sasuke's daughter actually with some other chick? Is it not Sakura? Because I heard that Sasuke got down with some other chick.
And like the internet exploded because when they first issue 700 or chapter 700 of Naruto had. It jumped 15 years and showed like all their kids and everything and where all the original cast is. And it showed Sasuke's daughter, Sasuke and Sakura's daughter. However, she wears these glasses and she doesn't really look like Sakura like at all. She looks like Karin, which is the girl who traveled with Sasuke. So the internet exploded for a while about who is Sakura really her mom and everything.
Is Sakura really her mom?
Yes.
Did he do
But the funny thing is, the creator released a 10-chapter Naruto Gaiden manga.
Yeah.
That, like, it was Sarada found a picture of Sasuke and Karin together, and she was like, she has the same glasses, and ends up, like, going with Naruto and finding Sasuke to find out if Sakura's really her mom and everything.
I mean, that feels like that's almost deliberate fan baiting.
I'm really sure it was like, because of the internet exploding so much after that, I think the creator, Masahiro Takio, I just butchered his name. Probably because everyone exploded was like, hey, you know, this could be a good little thing I could shoot out. Because he's already said at the showing for Botaro, like the voice actress that did the voice Botaro was like all excited. She's like, yeah, I'm totally up for a new series and stuff. And Mashiro's like,
no.
He's like, I'm done. There's not going to be any more. That's basically what he said, was like, there's not going to be any more. I'm basically taking a break. And then he's actually going to be working on something new.
I mean, good for him. I mean, he's been writing it for like 15 years. Yep. Which sounds awful, having a weekly release for 15 years.
Yeah,
I mean, I know he's taking breaks here and there, but
not really. And it's not like over here, because unfortunately, you know, all we can really do is read articles and stuff about this stuff. Reading the article on like the life of a mangaka, which is a manga writer,
sounds fucking awful.
It's horrible what these guys go through, and most of them are monthly releases. And creators like Masahiro and oh man, I'm blanking on Bleach's author and stuff.
Watanabe?
Yeah, of where they're doing weekly releases, and just now and then they have a break because of like Golden Week or something like that. I can't even imagine the horror they have to go through. I mean,
a lot of that's got to be in the can, though, right? Like, at least in the beginning, that they have, you know, couple months, and then so they're not like, it's not like South Park, 7 days to air.
Well, South Park, that doesn't do any. I mean, they used to make those episodes within like 1 or 2 days.
No, that's what they still do. They make them the week before they air. So I'm just saying, I understand that is a animation wise lot lower quality thing, but I'm saying they don't do that. They're not drawing these chapters in the 7 days before they come out. But they still have this insane schedule.
Of them do. Yeah, they have the schedule to bring them out.
Well, yeah, but they're drawing. But I can't imagine that they're like they finish on Friday and publish on Saturday every week.
Yeah, because I believe they have to finish on Thursday and be edited on Friday and then published on Saturday.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's like their schedule.
It would be like, just work ahead a little bit before you start the story. Jesus.
This is where I feel for the artist and writer for Nana, of where she got cancer, and luckily she fought it and she recovered. However, she said she's not going to come back and finish Nana.
Because it's just an awful experience doing the writing.
It's like, even though Nana was probably one of the most popular mangas and actually had 2 live-action movies, a 47-episode series.
Yeah, no, it's really solid stuff.
But it doesn't have an ending because she does not want to come back and do it just because of the health issues.
Well, sometimes life doesn't give you what you want, man. And I think if there was ever...
I feel like Sheldon, man. I want my ending.
If there was ever a message to get from Nana, it was that sometimes life doesn't work out for you.
Yeah.
Also, Nana 1's a bitch.
Nana 1.
Not punk rock Nana.
That's the only Nana. You got Nana and Hachi.
I'm sorry. Hachi.
Hachi is a bitch.
They're both named Nana. That's the point of the show. And they live in the room 7. Yeah, I remember. It's been a little while.
Hachi means dog, and that's why they all call her Hachi, because she's like a little puppy. She would follow Nana all over the place.
Because they were besties.
They were besties.
And she's a whore.
She is a whore.
So actually, we kind of both recommend Nana. It's really good.
Oh, Nana's
clearly we have some issues with it. Next week, looking forward to next week. We're not quite over and done yet, but we were discussing kind of having a sad week. So look forward to that. And we're going to get into some things that just make your heart hurt a little bit. And Nana's kind of a preview into that. So. Keep your ears out and keep your Jack Daniels close. But okay, anything come out this past week, or anything that you've been watching that you think people would be into?
Well, if you like the ecchi stuff, Monster Musume is a definite watch.
Sounds awful.
It is awesome. It's the everyday life with monster girls, is what the English title of it is, and it's just the funny. It's basically. A world opened up that introduced basically half human, half creature. And they end up having a law and everything of interspecies and stuff to integrate with each other. But to really integrate, they put them in kind of like exchange students. But
I liked this story better when it was the JSDF murdering things.
But basically, one of the exchange students gets placed incorrectly at this guy's house, and he has no say in it because it's the government.
Oh, of course. And now he has to live with this girl who's there.
He has to live with this girl.
And she brings along 6 of her friends, and he can't choose which one he's really in love with, but he's kind of into all of them.
See, that's what you would think, except all these different characters don't fit. Except for the main girl, do not fit into that stereotypical, cliche of a character.
Give it time.
Because they're all so weird. Because, you've got centaurs, and you've got Luminias, and you've got harpies.
Please tell me he falls for, the least human. He's dating a centaur.
He really likes the arachnid.
That's disgusting.
Because he's a leg guy. And it is the funniest thing because the whole thing was the arachnid ended up running away from her host family because she saw the disgust on their faces all the time and couldn't handle it. So she ran away, and he ended up finding her and stuff. And of course, he just accepts all of them, which is the funny. A normal person, it's okay, you're a monster girl. All right, that's pretty cool.
No,
but what really sells the show...
I like to think I'm an accepting person. But spider people, if you're not Peter Parker Spider-Man, get out.
Well, see, what really sells this show is you really feel for this guy because he's trying to be as nice as he can to these girls. Except, they're monster girls. So you got the Luminia, which is half snake, half woman.
Yeah.
And she goes
in my day and age, that was called a naga.
She sits there and hugs him, but she's a snake, so she starts coiling this poor dude and just squeezing the life out of him.
He probably liked it. He's Japanese.
He's Japanese. But really, it's
getting racist up in here.
It's like if you want something just to watch and have a good laugh about, this would be a good one to watch.
Get your laughs in this week, guys. Because we're going sad time.
We're going sad next week?
Oh, yeah. We're going to Berserk sad.
Oh, no, we can do better
like
than that.
Back half of Berserk sad, like post the Black Moon.
Oh, we'll go Sayakano sad.
Listen, I don't want to put all our listeners in a sad coma. Maybe I do.
All right, well, we'll leave you guys on a happy note.
Was that a happy note?
Sure, everyday monster girls.
Every day.
Every day, we can have a monster girl with us.
Well, guys, this has been the one where we talk about anime. If you decide to come back to us next week, praise God.
All right.
Praise the sun. And remember, piñatas have feelings too.
Yay, piñata!